Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Brakatao, Brakatao Shai, Brakatao, Brakatao Shai, Brakatao, Brakatao Shai, the water above, called Kadash. I'd like to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that teaches truth, which we know is 100% true word of our Lord. Lesson today is going to be based around the war report, things that's going on in the world, and to keep you updated and abreast as it lines up with prophecy. And the Lord right now is doing a beautiful work, a meticulous job, in orchestrating this thing and gotten everything falling into in perfect position, man. And you can't deny these prophecies, man. You can't deny the word of the Lord. He said, anything that come out of his mouth, you can write it in stone. The Lord, you can't call a Lord a liar. You're talking about Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, not this false image, Jesus Christ. And we see these things unfolding over there in the so-called Middle East. And what's great, the beauty of it, I was just watching Sabby, I think named Sabby Sabs. She runs a podcast, and she does a lot of commentating on a lot of stuff that's going on over there in the so-called Middle East, really throughout the world. And she was showing these Edomites, man, that talked about, that they voted for Trump, and now they regret it. They said they voted for him 3 times. Find a lot of these Edomites now. Now they starting to have some outcry. Some of them, you still got those diehard ones that they gonna ride the thing all the way to the end. But only reason these ones are crying out because they're suffering. Because they see these oligarchs at the top. They living lavishly during this time of trouble. They throwing their big dinner parties. They're vacationing. They're living lavishly, while the average Edomite is out here struggling. And Jake always been in the struggle, but now the Edomites are struggling right along with them. And that's the only reason why they have a problem. Now, if they was doing better than Jake, they wouldn't have a goddamn problem with what's going on, man, in the world. They don't give a fuck about what they're doing to Iran and Cuba and these other places. But now that they're suffering, and they see that they pretty much put it in the same boat, they see that their food is being poisoned. They're poisoning their food and shit, And, they're poisoning their skies, with these chemtrails, and then these vaccinations and all these things going on. They realize that they're part of the target too. And they have a hard time swallowing that. And a lot of them, they're not going. They're going to continue to ride the narrative, man. But it's beautiful to see the egg come back to the face of these Edomites, man. And we had no sympathy for them because they didn't give a damn when Jake been crying about talking about this bully what he's been doing to us over the years. But now that it's happened to them, and it's been happening to them, but now that it's being exposed, now they want to cry out, and now they want to be a victim too. But like I say, Jake always been going through this. And that's why I see it, these things happen around the world. Jake really don't give a fuck. Jake worrying about March Madness and these other things of the world that's going on. But Jake has always been oppressed. Jake has always been downtrodden. Jake has, we go on a minute, how people been destroyed, man. How people been destroyed up under these hands of these Edomites. And they use these lower level Edomites to help further the oppression. So now these Edomites see that they're oppressed, and now they have a problem. So pretty much fuck them. They had time a long time ago to step in, but the Lord has already orchestrated that way. So it could be fall like this. So it could be come out and laid out like it is now. And the Lord, like I said, the Lord does a meticulous job, man. And it's beautiful to see these things are happening in this time, man. And that we're part of these prophecies that's being fulfilled. And Lord will that we're able to endure those of us that have this truth, man, and not fall out of this truth. And I want to cover a number of topics. It's not going to be long, though. But I want to cover the topics, like I said, of those of us that's in this truth. We go through our afflictions and things that we go through in these times, man. But we have to look at sometimes what's the reason behind the affliction. There's always something that's attributed to. And one thing I think the things I'm going through is to teach me about to take care of health, man. I learned more about health and and taking care of the temple now more so than I ever would have I been going through these issues, man. And like I say, we go through our afflictions, not proudly, but we wear it with a smile because we know that the Lord only chastise who He loves, man. It's like a parent who loves a child, and He put them under certain conditions or restrictions, and because out of love, because you want to see that child do better. And same with the Lord with us, man. The afflictions, things that we go through, and we know once we get those new bodies, man, we're gonna, you know, you can imagine what it's gonna be like to receive these new bodies, man, to receive these new special abilities, and not to get old and not to go through pain and suffering and not to be able to sin again. That's one of the main beautiful things because we're in these sinful bodies, man. We're in these corruptible bodies, put it that way, and they easily given in, to the sins of this world, especially in Babylon the Great, because Babylon the Great is loaded with sin. Their motto is, do all, have it your way, do like you want to do, or live your best life. But there's always consequences to the things that we do. But let me hit some precepts. It's not, like I said, it's not to be long, but it's like I said, it's a beautiful time to see these things unfolded, man. Because they're talking about sending in ground troops. They're attacking energy sources, which that can spread. It has a ripple effect because it's not only just affecting gas prices, but it's going to affect food prices and all these other things. Everything else is going to go up on the heels of it because you have truckers have to supply these supplies in to these stores, and then they got to pay. They're not going to eat the bullet. They're going to pass it on down to the stores, and the stores are going to pass it on down to the consumers. So it's like it's a ripple effect, and all from them going over there and trying to take over that country, and got their ass into a trap that they can't get out of now. So they're talking about sending their ground troops, and then Iran said, they'll let certain ships through, only those that's not associated with Babylon the Great and Israel, and and one of the things is they have to pay for it not under the U.S. dollar, but up under the yen, the Chinese currency, and that's the major blow there. That's the major thing. That's worse than them launching those the missiles, man, because that changes the whole dynamics, man. Because our dollar is based on the petrodollar, trading oil in our dollar. If they make that change, then these nations start buying oil up under another currency, man. The dollar's definitely going to crash. But at the end of the day, the oligarchs want that to happen because they want the crash to happen so they can bring in a whole new system. So, but you Edomites, you're going to suffer right along with it, man. And then they're going to bring out this beast system, and then we're going to go into World War III. Let me see. No, I got something on here. No, it's not the one. Shalaki, just bear with me for a second. They say once they create this this economy crash and the food and all this stuff start to slow down, then we're going to go into Jacob's trouble. And that's Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 11. No, 51, verse 1. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will rise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, rise up against me a destroying wind. And I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in that day trouble, and for the day of trouble, they shall have against her round about. Delete that. See, a lot of people have lost their faith in Babylon the Great, man. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Woe unto the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, and take counsel, but not of me, that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. That verse 2, that walk to go down to Egypt and have not asking at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. And a lot of our Jakes, like I said, Jake is a homeborn slave, man. They still trust in the system. They believe that they don't want to see Babylon the Great go down, man. Majority of the Jakes, man, they still want this system to continue long as they doesn't come affect them directly. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 8. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace. Revelation chapter 6, verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and the power was given him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So there'll be a lot of death and destruction in the coming future, man. And not so far future, man, real soon. The way things are lining up, and we feel that through the spirit. But that's pretty much it, man. We have to stay tuned in, man. A lot is unfolding every day. This thing is continuing to escalate. It's like a fire that's been started. The killing has been set, and it's steadily growing. And it won't be long for all these other nations going to be drawn into it. And eventually they're all going to turn on Babylon the Great, even her allies. And everybody's going to lash out at Babylon the Great. Thus said the Lord. So with that being said, man, Lord, will us edifying. With that, say shalom.